Actually, I can kind of just wing it. Alright, so hello, my name's Wire Guitars. As of right now, recording, I am 4562 MMR solo. I dropped quite significantly from 4700. I used to be like 4750 a little while ago. It's unfortunate. I played a slew of games and lost a lot of them. RIP is really all I can say to that. Kind of sucks. But anyways, I still think Spirit is a pretty good hero. I just think he's a lot less free MMR than he used to be. And I can kind of, show you what I mean here when we load into the game, as well as just in general. Hopefully it's pretty obvious by the fact that I lost a lot of MMR recently. Also, I mean, that could be due to the fact that I'm not necessarily a super good player, so take that into account. Maybe you're going to have a lot more success, hopefully, than I did recently. And I can still earn this back, right? It's not like MMR is only something that goes down. But anyways, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of content just to show you guys that I'm not completely dead. However, unfortunately, I'm just kind of going off of pure flow of conversation here. I don't have a script that I'm reading off of like I usually do. I'm pretty bad at doing that, though, as you can probably see from my recent videos, so I don't know if that's saying a whole lot. But yeah, oh my god. Alright, we're gonna wait for it to respond. Okay, good. Anyways, so we'll load into a custom game here and we'll discuss her spirit just a little bit. So if you've watched any of my recent gameplay on stream, you'll know for majority of fact, I don't necessarily do this every single game, but I used to do this a lot, and I'll show you what I mean. What I used to do was I'd start every game with one ward, as I usually do, go up here, I'd block the pole, as I usually did, somewhere along here, or sometimes in the tree, depends on how much you want to play mind games, but I'd block their initial pole, and I'd play the offlane standard, pull a creep here with your E, try to leech EXP from standing like right here, all that good stuff. You guys already know all that stuff. Unfortunately, as of 6.86, both sides now have a pole camp to work with. A second pole camp, I should say. They now, you can debate that I can work with this pole camp just as much as they can. Like, it's kind of hard for me to pull this camp, and, it's easy for them to pull this camp. But, this camp isn't too hard to pull. Watch, I'll show you what I mean. Spawn creeps. Or start game. Spawn neutrals. I think this works. So I think you can do something like this. Yeah, and you can kind of pull the creeps over here, and I'll show you that, as the creeps are approaching. I think they have to hit this tier 1, so we'll do that. You just kind of, you can argue that you could do something like this. Oh, it only grabbed the range creep. Okay. Yeah, you can do something like this, and you can be like, oh, Wired, see, you guys can work with this pole camp as nearly as much as they can, or just as much as they can. But let's stop right there. You can't really do that, okay? In a normal game where your opponents are going to be tri-laning against you or aggressively dual-laning against you with something like a Slark and a Lion, they're going to have stuns and stuff like that that they can screw you over with. It's much harder for you to take advantage of this camp than it is for them. So what I've found, as of 6.86, is that warding this camp and then trying to just pray to God that they won't pull this camp or this camp if you're on the Dire is really wishful thinking. Most teams, even in lower brackets nowadays, or most players nowadays, know that they can just simply pull this camp just like they can their easy camp. So I found that that's kind of a wishful thinking if you're just kind of relying on people to not pull that camp. What I've been doing nowadays is just warding somewhere over here. I'll show you what I mean. Or even sometimes warding this camp. And I shouldn't say this because I don't always do this, but sometimes I do this. I ward like right here, maybe I'll chop that tree down. I'll try to get a hefty amount of vision over here. And then maybe, just maybe, sometimes I'll even ward this camp at the start of the game. Let's just clear these creeps first. So that basically, they can't pull this camp at all, and they can only pull this camp. And you might say, Wired, how is that relevant? How is that good? Why would you want them to pull this camp? Isn't it better that they're pulling this camp because at least they're pulling it, kind of over here where you can contest the XP? Yes and no. If they're pulling this camp, I've noticed that I have more room to work with around the map. If they're going to pull this camp and do that little jazz, where they're like right here and they're farming this camp, they're further away from this rune, and on this side it's the same deal. If their supports are standing right here and farming, then they're further away from this rune than they would be if they were just right here, fighting the creeps. So that means I can guarantee the rune, because I'll just you know, I'll ward this. They'll pull this at like the 40-second mark or so, like the 1 minute 40-second mark, and they'll pull the creep wave into it, and then I'll just go take the rune, you know? So fighting over this camp in as opposed to this camp in some situations, like the one that I just mentioned, can be disadvantageous to you, as opposed to advantageous for you, as you'd initially think. Also, if they're pulling this camp as opposed to this camp, instead of fighting over the EXP for this camp, I can just come down here, right? Like walk all the way from here, like from my lane down to here, and then just pull this camp like this. And hopefully that stacks, so it's kind of, you know, shows you what I'm trying to get at here. I think that did. Nah, that probably did. I can stack this camp. And you can do this, I think, it's like 2 or 3 times. It's kind of hard to stack this camp, I'm not going to lie, but you can do this, you know, a few times. Oh shit, I did not mean to level up to 25. But anyways, you can do it enough times to the point where you hit level 6, then you just ulti this, you know? It's like a triple stack large camp. You just like, you know, fight it, use some mana, you're gonna have a bottle, you're gonna have your regen. You can literally just kill this with your ulti. You don't even need to use any other abilities. You just use your ulti and some stones. But anyways, I'll take this camp, and that'll get me to like level 7. And I won't have my ulti, but your ulti's on an 80-second cooldown. So I'll come back to lane. Usually I'll be about even levels with their supports because they've been pulling against me. But at least I'll come back to lane with level 6 or 7. Depending on how many times I stack that camp. And I'll be able to lane a little bit more efficiently. Because having 200 damage on your Q is really nice. And stacking this large camp right here really helps you do it. As well as stacking this camp too. Although this camp can be kind of difficult because I think you have to chop the trees right here. Which you can do that. You can just... If I had a blink dagger right now, here, let me just get one. I'll show you that you can do that. Where is it? Blink. You can just come over here. And when the creep camps comes, you can like kick the trees down like that. Or you can roll into them. And then, let's say the creeps are, okay, we're gonna have to wait for the next wave if I want to show you. But you just do something like, you know, kick it, they'll come out, and like this is the box or something like that. So they can easily stack from this side as well. So it's pretty good, okay? I just wanted to show you that. Well, I don't just want to show you that. I want to talk about item builds here a little bit, but I wanted to show you that first and foremost. Sometimes, basically, what I'm really trying to get at here is sometimes it's better to just block this camp as opposed to blocking this camp. Kind of depends on the game, I will say a little bit. If I was against a tri lane, I might do that. If I was against like an aggressive dual lane, like a Lich, maybe I wouldn't. Or not an aggressive dual, like, if I was against a Lich, I would definitely block this camp and try to pull this camp. And I don't even think I'd start level 1 with Geo to pull this. I think I would start level 1 with like Rolling Boulder, so I could chop these trees down and immediately start pulling this hard camp into this camp. Because against a Lich, he can deny creeps faster than you can pull them into this little area right here. I really hate playing against Lich, but I found out over my experiences of playing against a Lich that he can deny your creeps more than he can deny his creeps better than you can deny yours. So the best way to counteract that is just to pull. So, yeah, and because he keeps denying his own creeps, he never has the creep equal strength to push in and come and fight this without fighting into your creeps as well. You know, you'll pull this, and he's going to be back here with his carry, or he's going to be over here pulling his easy camp. So you just counteract his pull with your own pull. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, let's get into item builds because I definitely want to discuss item builds. Enough of you guys have been talking about item builds. Such that I think that I need to address it. So, first and foremost, let's talk about Veil, the new Veil, because I've gotten it in enough of my games to where I feel like I warrant, I like hearing him say Veil Discord. I've gotten it in enough of my games to the point where I think I've kind of advertised it a little bit as an item, and I think that's disingenuous of me, because I'm just trying to test the item. Every time I get an item, I'm really just testing it out in my games. I'm not necessarily trying to subscribe to the item as like a belief system, you know? Me buying Veil of Discord does not mean Wire Guitars thinks it's the best item in the game. Although I will say that I do think Veil is a good item. And in this patch, as of this patch I should say, Veil of Discord got a huge buff. It now gives plus 12 intelligence, it gives 12 more intelligence than it used to, which bumps it up to an 18 intelligence providing item, which is a lot of mana. If we do some really quick math, that would be 13 times 10 is 130, 13 times 20 then is 260, and so 6 less than that, or 12 less than that, 12 less, or 2 points less of mana is 13, so that's about, I said 260 is for 2? So that's minus, this is super easy math, 26, 260 minus 26. That's 234. 234 mana. This thing gives 234 mana, I believe. As well as all of its other stats, which are really great. Veil has always been a pretty good stat-efficient item. It gives you some health regen, gives you some armor, and then it gives you the flat stats, which are always better than... This is my, like, argument against Aether Lens, by the way, because a lot of people are trying to say that Aether Lens is, like, super broken on this hero, and I'm like, no, dude, Aether Lens sucks on this hero. The argument for Veil versus Aether Lens, in my opinion, is no question Veil is a better item, and I'll go over the reasons why, as opposed to the reasons that I just said. So here's Aether Lens. It's about the same gold cost. We're just gonna, I'm gonna give this to Aether Lens, okay? Aether Lens is 30 gold more expensive. I'm just gonna, we're just gonna assume that's the same cost, because basically it's one creep. Who really cares, okay? So now let's talk about the items comparison, how they hold up to each other. Aether Lens gives you, we're just gonna talk about the raw stats, so I can show you something, okay? Aether Lens, I think it's disassemblable. No, it's not, so that's even worse for the item. They're both not disassemblable. Anyways, Aether Lens gives you a flat 250 mana, okay? Veil gives you, as we just discussed, I think a little bit less than that, because it is 13 times 20, which would be 260, but it's 26 less than that, which is 234. This gives you a little bit less than that, but it gives you the mana in Intelligence, which is better, because you want Intelligence, you want the main stat of something, as opposed to the, would you prefer Strength, or would you prefer just flat health? Well, assuming those values are the same, you'd prefer Strength, because Strength gives you a little bit of health regen. It's not a whole lot, and I'm not trying to sell you on the item just because Veil gives you Intelligence as opposed to mana. I'm just saying something to think about. Veil gives you Intelligence as opposed to just flat mana. So that does give you a little bit of extra mana regen. Not a whole lot, and we could do the math on that too. Just know that this item, in fact here, on WTF. Okay, we're just gonna find out. It gives you, see, mana regen, watch this, pick it up, gives me 0.7 mana regen. If I drop this, it won't give me anything, see? So, Veil, when you pick it up, it depends on your level, I think. I don't actually know that for sure, but it gives, at this current moment in time, it gives me 0.7 mana regen. It's just something to think about, it actually gives you mana regen as opposed to just flat mana. So that's nice. Also, Veil gives you damage, flat damage, right? Like flat attack, like damage, Aether Lens does not give you auto attack damage. And I know the auto attack damage isn't that much, but it helps you for last hitting. It has a damage building component, I believe. Doesn't Veil have something that builds out of the, kind of, it has the Null Talisman. Gives you flat auto attack damage, which is nice. I do auto attack with Earth Spirit. Aether Lens gives you some spell resistance, which is really nice. I will commend it for that. But it doesn't give you any armor, whereas Veil of Discord does. And I'd say 6 armor compared to 15% spell resistance, we can almost kind of just equate those to around the same thing. I'm level 25 as Earth Spirit right now, right? In this game with level 25. We'll drop this. I have 8, it actually gives you 1 kind of extra armor just because of the agility, but we're just going to assume that for a second isn't really in the equation for this particular debate, okay? 40% physical damage reduction with 11 armor. 52% physical damage reduction with Veil. And that's even more exacerbated of a problem, or I guess it's more of a benefit, I should say rather, when you consider the fact that I'm getting this item early in the game where my armor isn't at 11. It's usually around 4 or 5. And when you get this item, it brings you up to 10. And so if we can just kind of show you something. Create hero. I'm trying to think of a hero that has 1 armor. Io? I guess that's Lion. Lion has 1 base armor, right? If we give Lion, give bots, item, plate, bots, item, what's it called? Chainmail? He jumps from 6% to 26%. So basically what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that armor has an insane amount of diminishing returns, where if you're in about the 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 armor threshold, you get a lot more value out of your armor than you do if you're from the 10 to 20 armor range. Does that make sense? So if I'm at 4 armor and I pick up a Veil, right, I'm going to gain a lot more damage reduction than if I was at 11 armor and I picked up a Veil, In this case, it's giving me 12%. For a Lion who's getting 5 armor right now, he's gaining 20%. So just something to think about. This item gives you a lot more physical damage reduction than I can currently show you. Not a lot more, but a little bit more. It gives you more physical damage reduction than I can currently show you. And I'd say you know, if it gives 15% physical damage reduction as opposed to, and whereas Aether Lens gives you 15% spell resistance, I'd say I might prefer the Veil just for that reason alone. Because right clicks, in the mid game, spells definitely dominate, but you also need to worry about right clicks as a Nurse Spirit because you like to get really close to people and use your ulti and shit like that. You know, especially now with this patch where you can't pull allies without an Aghanim Scepter, like I'm currently trying to show you. You can't just sit here and cast. You can't just throw out stuns and silences all day, you know, and just hope that your E is going to be off cooldown like you could be before when you need to save someone, so you can just save them because you can't do that anymore without an axe. You need to get into the thick of things, you know. You got to roll in there, you got to use your ulti, and then you got to like drop stones everywhere and shit like that, and be useful through your abilities as opposed to just your saving potential. And so I think that alone kind of proves that you will need to worry about armor just as much as you do spell resistance, and the armor provided by Veil is pretty significant. Anyways, enough of that little small quip. A lot of people say Aether Lens gives you very, very long ranges on your abilities. That's kind of true. Let me show you what I mean by that. So, without Aether Lens, I'd need to go up to melee range to kick this stone, correct? With Aether Lens, it's kind of weird. Oh, that's weird. I didn't think that I kicked it. Wasn't trying to do that. Okay, neutrals. With Aether Lens, I can kick this stone from a far ways away. Watch. Look at that. See, I just kicked that stone. I wasn't even standing anywhere nearby. That can be helpful, but let me tell you how that can also not be helpful. Okay? So I'm going to drop this stone right here. Well, fucking, this is going to be a bitch to show. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you it. By golly. Okay, so that stone is right there. And we'll do a little bit of a closer representation just so I don't have to worry about too many things. So that stone is right there, right? And I'm right here. If I kick this stone, well, let's just watch what happens, okay? It did not stun them. Even though I was next to them, the stone was over here, so it did not stun your opponent, okay? Does that make sense? Like, that's how it should work. It should work like that. I'm just trying to say that this isn't necessarily a flat buff. Stone's over there. I want to kick the stone. I'm standing right next to these guys. It only stuns around where the stone is, okay? I'm not trying to say that it's bad, like Aether Lens is bad for that reason. I'm just saying that it's not like an insane, like, what the fuck, like, holy crap, your stun just got a huge buff, or anything like that. The main way in which this ability just got, the main way in which Earth Spirit just got better with Aether Lens is because you can pull and drop stones from a very long range now. Does that make sense? Your initiation got buffed, if that makes sense. You can drop a stone, roll into it a lot further than you used to before. But your ability to stun things, it kind of got buffed. Iffy. I'll say that, iffy, whether or not that got buffed. You can, how do I explain this? The actual range in which you can stun somebody did not increase at all. Because you'll drop a stone, and you'll stand from back here, and you'll slowly approach them to stun him, but the stone is still going to be in the same location. If that makes sense. It's just the difference between you standing right on top of the stone, like here, as opposed to you standing from a further ways away, like from right there. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm just trying to demonstrate how the stone isn't going to go any further. You can just stand further away from the stone to kick it. Like that. So hopefully that made sense. So Aether Lens isn't as good as a lot of people make it out to be just for that reason. It is good for the pulling thing, I'll admit that, but it's kind of a minuscule aspect of the item, unless you have like an axe. If you have an axe, it's really good. And then the spell damage amplification. I don't even really want to talk about this too much because it's almost insignificant. But we can do some quick math if you want to, just to demonstrate how ineffective this item is for just a spell damage amplification standpoint. So let's talk about it. Your main combo, assuming your Q and your E are maxed, right? Your main combo does 500 damage. It does 200, 200, 500, and then you got your magnetize on top of that. Whatever. 8% of 500, right, is, I want to say 40. I'm pretty darn sure that's 40. Okay, because 10% of 500 is 50. It's about, here, I'm just going to whip out the calculator for this. I'm sorry. Maybe I should have preemptively done this. 500, whoops, times 0.08. Whoops. I divided by. Yeah, it is 40. I was right. That's pretty easy math, too. I can't believe I needed to use a calculator. You're doing 40 extra damage between all of your abilities, right? 40 extra damage between all of your abilities here with an Aether Lens. 40. Like, Like 40. Like one auto attack. Okay? Just think about that. Just think about 40 extra damage. As opposed to Veil, which removes a hero's magic resistance, basically. It's 25% extra magic damage, okay? That means that your abilities actually do 500 damage as opposed to what they normally do with when people have spell resistance, which is like 375, okay? Absolutely no question Veil is a better item for magic damage. There's no debate about that, right? And I don't want to talk, like I said, I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm sure you guys already figured that out. But just out of the fucking water, Veil does more damage than Aether Lens. It is for all of those reasons that I just prevented. I haven't even talked about the fact that Veil actually gives strength and agility. You know, the HP regeneration on both of these items is similar. I haven't even talked about that. Just, you know, I could talk about that. I could beat in the point that Veil is better because it gives you 6 strength, which, I'll pause it so that she quits talking. 6 strength, which equates to about 120 extra HP. I could talk about that, and you know, 6 armor, or 6 agility, which is basically 1 armor, which is also a little bit increased attack speed. You know, I could talk about that. I don't even want to talk about that. I just want to talk about how, from an armor, an intelligence, and damage increasing standpoint, and also how Aether Lens is kind of a lackluster item, as I talked about before with the kicking thing. I just really want to focus on those elements of Earth Spirit and just really drive home the point the Veil is a superior item to Aether Lens in that respect, okay? So that's what I'm really trying to, like, when people ask me, oh, dude, Aether Lens is, like, Wired, I know Earth Spirit got nerfed in 6.86, but Aether Lens looks like such a great item on him. Have you tried Aether Lens? Like, yes, I have tried Aether Lens, and I absolutely despise the item on this hero. I don't think it's that good, just personally speaking, okay? Maybe it's super good, maybe some pros are doing it, maybe you guys could prove me, like, wildly wrong here that my predictions about the item are bad, but in my opinion, the item is bad on the hero for the reasons I just listed. So, for that reason, I don't really get Aether Lens. But something I've been doing, and in fact, I've been doing this over getting a Veil in my games, is going Boots of Speed in my games. I don't go Blink Dagger, so I'll drop it. I go Bottle first. I still get Bottle, even though it got nerfed. It just sucks that it got nerfed. That's really all that, like, that's like what I feel about the Bottle changes. Sucks, you know. I'm still gonna get the item, it just sucks. It's still too good. You can still control the runes too good to pass it up. It just sucks that it got nerfed. But I still get Veil, or I still get, Bottle. And then I get Brown Boots. And then I work straight in from Brown Boots into a Blade Mail. And I really, really like Blade Mail on this hero for a few reasons. One, it gives like a pretty fair amount of intelligence. Not like a wild amount, you know, it doesn't give like a freaking Mystic Staff worth of intelligence. But it gives you plus 10 intelligence, which is 130 extra mana. Which you can abuse with bottle charging, or with bottle charges. Which is it's really nice. Like, I like the intelligence that it provides. It gives 6 armor, which is another component of the item that I appreciate. As I talked about with Veil, 6 armor, you know, in the early stages of the game, especially since you can get this item, you can get the armor component of Blade Mail. Another thing that I like about Blade Mail, by the way, is you can build the entire item from the side shop. Let me just show you that. All of these items can be built from the side shop, even the broadsword, in case you did not know. Click on him, broadsword, plate mail. Where is it? There's the robe of the Magi. Where's the plate mail? Plate mail. Or chainmail. You can build the entire item from the side shop, which is nice, because you usually go to the off lane, so you'll be having easy access to the side shop. But anyways, it gives armor, which I talked about, which was really nice. It gives you intelligence, which is really nice. The 22 extra damage is not to be underestimated at all. That's very nice for kind of like that mid-game last hitting, where you kind of want to like soften up the wave. I'll show you what I mean. It kind of acts as like a pseudo Veil for clearing waves. Whoops, I need to move this over here. Because what you can do with the extra damage on your auto attack is just auto attack everything once, and then do your basic clearing wave combo, which is, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, this is the basic clear wave combo for Earth Spirit. It's you pull, roll, and kick. So you don't get the super wild roll because you kicked it before you rolled into it, and you do all of your damage against the wave. That will clear every wave when you hit level 11 if you have Veil, and it will clear most waves if you auto attack them like this once with Blade Mail. So I do like it for that reason. You just that, and it clears the entire wave. Anyways, it gives you that extra auto attack damage, which is juicy, the armor, which is juicy, the intelligence, which is really juicy. And then finally, this is the coup de grace of the item. This is what I like the most about the item, and this is the reason why I get it. It gets the reflection, right? The reflection of damage that is dealt to you, taken back as the enemy, okay? This recently, or maybe not this, but the item in general got buffed as a very, very small buff. I can't remember specifically. I should probably look it up just to really sell the item to you. But it just recently got buffed as of last patch. And just in general, it was like that buff plus all the kind of nerfs to this hero and his itemization, like Bottle got nerfed and stuff like that, that made me consider it as an item, because I was like, man, I need to like really rethink my item choices on this hero. And I discovered, so to speak, the awesomeness, which is Blade Mail, because it really is an awesome item. Blade Mail is a really good item on this hero. It's really nice because you can initiate now onto people, you know, say this is their enemy. Well, say this is their enemy, this is like their enemy team. Did I, whoops. Say their team is like right here, right? Now you can like roll in, whoops. Okay, that was embarrassing. You can roll into their team, you can do this, and if they try to like, you know, stun you, like they're gonna take a bunch of damage, and I can't really show that too well, because these are allies, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that you can now initiate preemptively, like not pre-preemptively, you shouldn't do it like this, right? You should not activate it that soon. You should activate it like this. You should then activate the item so you get the full duration of it. You can do this, you can do this, you can ulti them, do some really juicy things, you know, make sure that they take all the damage, and you can become the true initiator that you've always wanted to be, but you never really could be before, because if you initiated fights, people would just turn around and burst you, even though you have a 2.9 strength gain. The problem with fixing Spirit's shortcomings as an initiator can be solved by buying a Blade Mail, right? Not a Blink Dagger, which is what most people will recommend. Blink Dagger, don't get me wrong, it's really nice to be able to just blink ulti like that, as opposed to, you know, predictably roll into people, because roll can be kind of predictable sometimes. Blink Dagger is always going to be that instant ulti, you know? Like, how can you really predict something like that? Like, it happens just so instantly. So it is nice to be able to just do that. But when people turn around, even if you stun 4 people on their team, if one person stuns you or silences you for long enough, you're out of commission. Your initiation just got gimped. Because, I mean, it lasts for 6 seconds, Magnetize does. Sure, don't get me wrong. But if even 1 or 2 of those people don't get Magnetized, it can screw up your entire combo, and you can end up wasting a lot more stones than you really wanted to on just keeping Magnetize onto heroes, as opposed to actually doing damage, maximum damage with your Magnetize, which is what you want to do. You want to get in there, you want to roll into their team, activate Blade Mail, do this. They don't want to attack you because you're Blade Mail, and then you can like kick them, silence them. I actually recommend silencing like as soon as possible. You get it. Basically, you roll in, you activate this, you activate your ulti, and then you silence them, like that, more so. Then you kind of kick later on. When people start to try to turn on you a little bit, you can roll into people. It's just super juicy. You can work on that yourself. I'm not trying to teach you that. I'm just trying to debate why Blade Mail is a super great item. It basically makes your initiation pack the punch that it should. Unless they want to turn around and fight you, in which case you're going to at least go down in vain, right? If somebody tries to kill a level 6 or 7, or, well, more likely a level 10 or 11 or Spirit that has a Blade Mail, you know, Arcanes, maybe just Brown Boots. Sometimes I just like sticking with Brown Boots in a bottle. Like, if somebody wants to turn on you when you have about 1,000 HP, when you have a Blade Mail that early into the game, then they can, by all means, let them turn on you, right? Let them deal all that damage to you that they've been doing to themselves, because I guarantee, unless they're a life stealer or somebody else that I'm like Juggernaut, you know, they probably don't have magic resistance or magic damage immunity, which means they're going to be taking that damage back as pretty much full, or 80%. I think it's full. I think it's actually just full damage, and it is pure, so it's super good. Yeah, I think it's just straight up all the damage. So they're going to be taking all that damage they're dealing out to you back, and most heroes in the early to mid-game stages of the game can't actually handle the damage that Blade Mail deals back to them. So it's really it's super cool, you know? They start to damage you, and then you damage them back. It's a really great way to counter Huskar, which is going to sound weird because you're Earth Spirit and you didn't ever used to counter that hero before. It's a really great way to deal with like Bloodseeker. A really great way to deal with Bloodseeker, trust me on that. A lot of right-clicking carries struggle to deal with Blade Mail until they get their BKB. So it makes them get BKB against you, and you want that. You want people to like need to respond to you in some way. You want to cause such a commotion that people have to do something about you. They can't just say, oh yeah, you know, whatever, we'll just wait till he falls off. No, you want them to be like, damn, like this Earth Spirit is really getting in my face. I have to halt my item build, or I have to halt my progression in some way to deal with this guy. He's that much of a problem. You want to cause a commotion, basically. Last but not least, after Blade Mail, I either like to get Power Treads or Arcanes, as I told you. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Power Treads if I'm feeling like my team has enough Arcane Boots on their team, because I do want to tank up. I never used to do this before, and I know that some people used to do this before. You know, not naming any names, but a lot of people like to get Power Treads on this hero. I never used to, but nowadays, since I don't even sometimes complete my boots, like I don't even get Arcane Boots until I get Blade Mail, I've started to kind of ease off. If you're conservative with your mana and you play it right, you don't necessarily need Arcane Boots on this hero. And it is nice to have for your supports and your carry, but it's not enough of I absolutely have to get Arcane Boots on this hero, or else I'm never going to have mana. It's not enough of that to where I feel like I personally need to get it every game. And if I don't need to get it every game, and my team doesn't need it on their team, then what's the point in getting it, you know? So sometimes I get Power Chest on this hero. But then I pretty much unanimously always go into an Octarine Core afterwards. Unless the situation mandates that I get an Axe, right? This is like, and like I was telling you guys earlier, this is why I wanted to show you this. This is what I've been doing in my recent games, and you guys have been asking, you know, like, what do you do under Spirit nowadays? Guys, do your guides still hold up, or do you do different things? This is what I've been doing every single game, except for the Blink Dagger. And sometimes I'll just have brown boots, so I'll drop these. I get Blade Mail, I get Octarine, or I get Bottle, I get Blade Mail, and then I get Octarine. I buy some wards, some smokes, some dusts if I absolutely need them along the way, but generally speaking, I try to get these 3 items as quickly as possible in the order that I mentioned. I won't get... I used to get Ags a lot, like, before I would get the Blade Mail, or before I would get the Octarine. I used to get Ags and then Octarine, but I'm starting to kind of vie away from that a little bit. I like Octarine a lot on this hero, now that they fixed all the bugs. It used to have a bug where it didn't actually work on him, but they fixed that. I think they did that stealthfully. I don't think they actually reported that they did that, but they, either way, they fixed it to where it actually works on the hero. It used to, like, not... It used to, like, report that it worked, but it didn't actually work, and it was really weird, and it was sad. But Octarine's super good on this hero for several reasons. One, it's really good with Blade Mail, right? You decrease the duration of the cooldown, which is just nice, right? You can use it 2 or 3 times now in a fight, which is great. More importantly, though, Octarine is, like... If you get it on enough heroes, you just can't die. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, let's create... Centaur, and then enemy. And then, check this out, level bots, 25, and then let's get their stats. Do I have to level it every single one? Oh. Okay. Alright, so check this out, right? You're like, you know, you're walking around with your dick in your hand and whatnot. You're like, hey, I'm Earth Spirit. You come over here, you ulti. These kids try to kill you. Whoops. You're sitting there, you're healing up. Look at that healing. If you hit all 5 of them. You know, it's insane. Like, you heal so much, it's pretty crazy with your spells. And you know, I'm hitting 5-man Qs and Es, you can take that for what it is, but the healing is really, really nice, is what I'm trying to prove to you. And generally speaking, if you hit a bunch of people and it's in a lane, you're also going to be hitting creeps, which is also nice, you know? It's not a super, like, F load, you know, I'm only healing up for, like, 10, 20, and that's the entire creep wave. But it's nice, every little bit helps. And just in general, you can keep it going for a while, which is really nice. You like that static, constant health coming in. You're not like a hero that really appreciates burst regen too much, but static health coming in, as they try to lower your health and you deal all that damage back to them, you want health coming in as well, because they're probably going to turn on you and try to do damage. You know, right-clicking heroes, like I told you, they're really the bane of you. You have a really, really high strength gain, so you're not super concerned with spell users. It still really pisses you off when Alina comes over to you, uses you up, stuns you down, bursts you, and auto-attacks you a few times. Like, that always sucks. Doesn't matter what hero you are. That, generally speaking, usually sucks. But on Earth Spirit, that doesn't bother you as much because you have a high enough strength gain to where you don't need to worry about that outright killing you every single time. Like, you can actually start to live against that in the later stages of the game, which is what I'm really trying to get at here. So, Octarine is really nice. It's just super nice on all of your abilities. I love it because of a lot of reasons, don't get me wrong, but I love it the most because this the roll decrease, you can pretty much... not doing it justice because I have a what the fuck on. You can, like, roll, and then once it stops, you have like a second before you can just roll again. So you're like always rolling. It's really nice. I don't know. But then I also like it for the other reasons. You know, the stone decrease is really nice. The cooldown on the stones is really nice. The stun is nice. The pull duration is nice. It's just super nice. After Octarine, I think 100% of the time I go Ags, because at that point you really do need it. There's no excuse not to have it at that point. Like, you're super useful with Octarine with all your abilities on your allies, that there's really just no reason not to get it at that point. Whoops. The cooldown was just a second too late. And yeah, Ags also gives you that extra little damage kick that you kind of want from your abilities. Like it gives you that extra ability that you can. Well, not a lot of people know this, but Earth Spirit's Ags actually gives some damage. The Magnetize ability does 300 burst damage, which is really nice when the hero comes out of the stone. So Ags is just a nice item all around, but I don't like to get it too much before Octarine unless I absolutely need it. And so yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Video went on a little bit too long. I'm sorry if I rambled, but hopefully you gathered something from this, and this is basically what I've been doing with Earth Spirit recently. Thank you very much for watching.